Morning friends, it's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. I hope you are doing well. It is a chilly and breezy day, although right here I'm sheltered by some trees, which is nice. But it's still a really nice day for transplanting. So we'll get those transplanting jobs done after we finish up this irrigation rerouting. I just checked. It looks like overnight or early this morning that the irrigation did run, and the seedlings look like they got some water, which was much needed. So once we get this project done, which shouldn't take very long, then we can head back and start having fun with transplants. So if you didn't see yesterday's video, I realized that all the irrigation to these beds here was not working. It was just kind of sputtering. There was clearly a lot of air in the line, so I walked the entire 1,200 feet and there was water in the line up to here. And so I couldn't figure it out. We have two lines, two zones. One is for this upper part here, and the second zone goes to the way back. There are two lines that come from the barn, which is way down there, 1,200 feet, and then comes through here, and those two lines go this way around the back of that tree, like this, underneath the fence, and then under this tarp. And one of them carries off all the way down, and the other carries off to about midway where it splits and it feeds all of these beds. And then we also have a line that comes down here and connects all these so that it's a pressurized system. So the only thing I could think of is that something, probably a rat or a mouse, had chewed through, because we've had this problem before, chewed through the line and it was leaking, and it was enough to destroy the pressure, and so there wasn't really water going to the beds. Initially, I thought I would have to take everything off of that tarp, which is very heavy, and try to find that. But then I thought that's stupid because they'll continue to chew on the connections under there, and then I'll just have to do it again. So what I did yesterday was rerouted and ran it over the top of the tarp and in front here, so I can easily see it. But I didn't have enough tubing to make sure that it routes kind of just around the back of this big pile, because when these piles are not here, we actually park up here. So I don't want to be able to run over these. So all I'm going to do today is add a little bit of extra to this so that it can go this way. And then I accidentally cut the wrong one yesterday. So this is to the back of the property. I just need to join this up, run it behind here, and just hook it into the second line right over there by the pollinator patch. Not a hard job, and I have 100 feet of tubing, so it should be fine. The only connectors I need are these guys, and I've got plenty of them. So this should be a pretty quick and easy job, and it's cold, and so the bees are not flying yet, which is what I was really hoping for, because that way I can get not right up next to the beehives, but on the other side of this pile of compost without irritating them too much. All right, let's get this project done. Okay, project done. I'm not going to worry about trying to test it because I know that that line at the far end, the one that I really needed to get set up today, works very well, and in fact has some big leaks that I need to resolve. So hopefully I can get to that later this week into next week. But tomorrow we'll be back out here to start buttoning up this top area, getting all of the weeding done for the lower beds, forking the ones that still need some fresh compost and gypsum, and then putting the wood chips in the aisles. And then we'll be able to move on to the other part of the property and test all the irrigation and do all the things down there. So I don't have any seedlings to put in the ground right now because we did that yesterday, and I have another succession of zinnias in the greenhouse now, but they're not ready. They probably need another 2 weeks. So I'm not at a lack of growing space right now, and I have things coming. So I've got more plugs coming from Farmer Bailey, and we have space up here to do that. I've got the mums coming, and we still have some mums that I've saved over from last year. They're kind of healed into some crates. I want to get those in the ground, and then we need to do more successions of sunflowers. So actually this week, probably tomorrow, I'll bring out a sunflower packet and sow somewhere in a bed where I can cover it. And then hopefully they'll germinate and we'll be good. Okay, so let's head home, and I'm gonna have a quick snack, and then we'll get started on transplanting. Well, now that we're back home, it is time to get these tomatoes transplanted. Still have my book going. I got 4 tomatoes, but only 3 of them are going here. These are all the same. This is the Ace variety. Large, red, smooth-skinned fruit, 75 days to maturity. So we're gonna set these guys up here, and they'll be perfect in line. I can set up then a Florida weave system for this side as well. I did get 1 more tomato, an Abe Lincoln, but that's actually gonna go in in the wine barrel in the back, because the one that I planted in there is just really struggling. It's looking awful. So I think I'm just gonna pull that out and put a nice tomato that looks happy in there. So I'm just putting a little bit of starter fertilizer in the bottom here, and I'm going to peel off all these lower stems. I don't want any stems touching the soil surface. Let's see if I can get this in here even deeper. There we go. Okay. There we go. Now I just have 2 more to go. I'm super excited because everything that I planted is still here. I haven't had, I'm afraid to say this out loud, but I haven't had any rodent issues in the last week. And so I'm hoping that maybe I've finally gotten a handle on it. Doesn't mean that I will let my guard go down. If I see any activity at all, I'm setting more traps. But for now, seems like we might be in the clear, at least for a little while. It's actually an amazing feeling walking out here and seeing all the plants still in the ground. It's funny, it's like for the first however many years, 4 or 5 years here in this location, I took for granted that everything would still be here every morning because I didn't have any predator problems other than maybe a couple aphid things or whatever. But whew, those rodents, they can decimate your entire garden. All right, let's head over to the pollinator patch and I'll show you where we're putting the candy tuft and the prostrate verbena. This verbena, it is Empress Flare Peach. Really, really beautiful. And it is, like I said, it's prostrate. It's not an upright verbena, so it's not going to get tall. The height on this is only 6 to 12 inches. The rest of it is just going to be spread. And that's anywhere between 18 to 24 inches in spread. So just going to dig down here, and then we've got some echinacea here. This is more of the buddleia. Oh, I'm sorry. Can't tell if that's buddleia or, oh no, it's salvia. And I'm just letting those pop up everywhere. All right. Oh yeah, it's a really nice root system in there. Okay, so this will be more like a ground cover through here, which is just what I need on the front of this border. This is a baby oak tree. So we have little squirrels come through here and they bury acorns. And That means we have baby oak trees popping up everywhere, all over the property actually. Okay, nice deep hole here. Firm that in. All right, that looks good. Now these are perennials, and you know, this first year I don't expect them to put on a huge amount of growth, but next year they should really start to take off. Oh, look at this. Can you see them? Obviously got disturbed. It's a gorgeous earthworm. That's what you want to see in your garden as soon as you start digging. Okay, next thing we're gonna pop in here. Here, buddy. I don't want you to get all baked in the sun. Okay, is we're gonna do some candy tuft. Same principle here, really. It's only gonna get about 12 inches tall, and then it's more of a spreading ground cover. So 18 inches or so, 12 to 18 inches. Starter fertilizer in there, and then pop this in. Now, a lot of times I like to come in here with just stuff in 6-packs, really, you know, small, but sometimes it's just nice to have a bigger plant to start with. Last one is gonna be right here. And we've got some, can't even remember what this is that I planted. Those are seedlings there of something. I honestly don't remember, and I can't tell by just looking at them, which is unusual. Usually I can. Plenty of moisture in this soil here. Okay. Yeah, it's getting down to our native soil there. There's a lot of clay, but I have candy tuft in the cottage garden, and it's doing fine. So I know it can handle these soils. Okay. Okay, based on the spread, I'm gonna say that's good, and I think I'm gonna consider this mostly planted out for this season. We'll see if, you know, if these die back and they don't do well, I can always pop some other stuff in. But you can see the Centranthus really gets huge and spreads around. I've already cut on this once for bouquets yesterday. They're just so beautiful, and the flowers aren't even open yet. And then we've got this, there's a giant salvia in here, which is this guy right here. It's got red flowers. It doesn't flower until like September. Then we've got some Rudbeckia I planted in here, Echinacea, the Achillea, and then this is the Buddleia that has purple blooms. And again, cut back every year, and it just gets enormous. So in the next month or so, we'll start seeing some gorgeous blooms on that. Next job. It's time to pull out all this cleavers and stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. We'll wheel over the green bin and get this thing all squared away. So much better. So I'm thinking that these are either Amimagus or Astilbe, because I have planted Astilbe in this bed, and a lot of it got eaten the first year. So there's no speckles on this, so I know it's not poison hemlock. So we'll just see what it does, and maybe I'll get lucky and it's Astilbe. But the rest of the stuff that's in here, there's a couple of sprouts of Loropetalum popping up, and I definitely will dig those up. We've got an azalea, 2 azaleas here, and then these are the remnants of the mock orange that was here, but because it's so shady, it just never did well. It always looked scraggly and awful. I mean, we're right under a redwood tree, so not much really wants to grow here, and we're fine with leaving it just mulch. I'd like to have things here, but I don't want to mess too much. Redwoods have super shallow roots. They are only like a couple inches under the surface. And so I don't really want to disturb too much around redwoods. So I might put some pots in here on like stones to make them level. And then I could do decorative pots of lots of, annuals that can tolerate shade. So it looks pretty on the corner here, but I don't really want to plant anything per se. The other reason is at some point, and we can't do that this year, we just can't afford it, but this walkway needs to get pulled up. It is cracked and falling apart in places. Since all of this has to come out, probably this year, I have to look at, I'm not sure how long we are grandfathered in, but it is very soon that we need to pull them out, either this year or by the end of the year. Anyway, this all has to come out, and we don't really love this lava wall here. So we've been talking for a couple of years about how we would redo this entranceway. And if we leave the lava wall, which is the most cost-effective way to do it, then whatever we do as a walkway needs to jive with that somehow, because you don't want two completely separate looking things, right? You want the whole thing to be cohesive. So I think we're going to need some help from our interior designer. Maybe she can help us with some exterior design work. I can design plantings, but I am not a hardscape designer. So yeah, I can come up with ideas of what to put in a space, but I need to see what the space is first. So even though we could do the demolition of this ourselves, the whole process is going to be quite expensive. And so we haven't done anything about it. The other thing, this driveway is asphalt and it is cracked in lots of places. And over here by where, I'm not going to walk over there right now because I just got attacked by a bee, where all the soil is, the driveway is literally sloping and cracking and falling off the edge there. It's like big chunks of it are falling off. So this whole thing needs to be redone. It was laid in 2001 when they did this extension on this house. So it's been here for a while. So if we're going to do a new driveway, we would also like to get rid of this funky curve here. It is, people trip over this all the time. It just doesn't really make sense. So, that would mean pulling up the driveway, pulling up the walkway, just kind of redoing the whole thing. And that, I'm sure, is going to be extremely expensive. And with the way the economy is right now, that is not something that's in the cards right away. So that's another reason why I'm not going to put anything in here that's permanent. Yes, we can dig up perennials and move them around and stuff, but I just think it's better to hold off for right now, especially considering we also need to pull out the dying hedge that's along the whole fence line. And replace that with something as well. So yeah, it's better to focus on the things that actually need to be done now, as opposed to, oh, wouldn't it be pretty to set this space up? I don't want to do that and then have to dig it all up. So that's where we stand on that. But I'm going to see if I can wheel that soil to the backyard without the bees getting mad. It's just one bee again, but it literally got down inside my glasses in between and was like freaking out in here on my eyelid. Didn't sting me, but boy, that is nerve-wracking. So I might put my veil on to just do that, to go carry the soil down, because what we're going to do now is try to get the soil out in this new kind of bed for shade stuff, and then see if we can plant these plants that I've got. It would be nice to get that project done today. Okay, so we're in the backyard now, and this new shade garden I'm going to put in is small. Intentionally, I will expand it over time. So let me just give you the lay of the land. First of all, I apologize that the grass is not mowed, but this is all the grass we have, just in that little strip there. I just haven't mowed it. But this area here is, we've struggled for a long time trying to get anything to grow under it. There is an oak tree right above us. And even though, so oaks are allelopathic, even though the roots probably aren't affecting this plot of land, because the tree itself is down there and the roots are underneath this pretty deep. But you can see all of the There's a lot of leaf fall here, and this little plot is in the shade all but maybe 2 hours of the day, and that's in the afternoon, so like right now. So the rest of the time it is in the shade. Now, a couple years ago, we scraped off all the weeds, came in here with shovels and like skimmed off all the weeds, added a whole bunch more really nice topsoil and compost, and seeded this with a shade grass and covered it. And we had a lush, beautiful, beautiful stand of grass for the entire season. But then the next year, it did not come back. So it winter killed, it did not come back, even though it's rated for this area. And I think it's hard to grow things under here. So what I'm gonna try is, well, it's hard to grow grass under here. And the same thing for like over in this heavy shade area. But lots of other things, like we've got ivy and vinca back there that just are loving their lives right up next to the oak. We've got all kinds of things that don't mind growing here. It just needs to be stuff that really wants to be mostly in the shade. So my plan is to basically carry on what we had as the cottage garden, which is way down there, just kind of carry it along this whole pathway here, or pathway, the edge of the bed. We'll still have grass here because we'll, you know, I mean, I could fill in the entire thing. Like, ultimately, it would be really cool to have this entire thing be a big giant flower bed, and we'll just have stepping stones in there to get around. But things too close to the pool is kind of a nightmare because, you know, when we have parties and stuff, everything gets splashed and you get a lot of chlorinated water here. And so it's just not a really great idea. But over here, they should be pretty safe. So I have laid down cardboard. I was just going to put dirt over the top. Soil, I have lots of, this is all the soil here. This is a raised bed mix that I happen to have, and then the rest of this is compost. I was just going to put it down, but, you know, some of these weeds really do love to, you know, they're kind of deeply rooted. So I'd rather just block them all together to give our shade plants a good chance at taking hold. So I've got this cardboard down. What I need to do now is wet it down really, really, really well before I put the soil on top, because I'm going to have to punch through the cardboard into the native soil in order to plant these plants, because the soil on top is only going to be like 2 to 3 inches, and they need to go a little bit deeper than that. So I want this cardboard to be soft enough that I can puncture through it wherever I want to place the plants. So I need to wet this down. So I'm going to give that a go right now. If I find that it's just not really gonna immediately be plantable, then we will wait for tomorrow. I will keep wetting it down as the day goes on today, and in the evening I'll wet it down, and in the morning, and it probably should soften up a lot by then. It doesn't take that long, but it, you know, you just never know with cardboard. So normally, like I said, I would just put the soil on top and plant into it if it was seedlings, but it's not seedlings. It is actual plants. So let me show you. Okay, so this is what we've got. We've got this gorgeous Euchera. Let me see, what's the variety here? Lime Marmalade. So I've got 3 of those. As usual, I like to try to plant in threes. I just think that planting in odds looks a lot better. So now Lime Marmalade, and the reason, so I love Euchera, I love the dark purple ones, but they don't show up in shade. So I really wanted that bright pop of color. And then I also have 3 of these, Gallium odorata. This is also known as sweet woodruff. This is really vigorous. This will spread very quickly. I have 3 of these. It's really great for bedding and border areas in the shade. So I need to, the other nice thing about this area is that it stays fairly moist because of the sprinklers. And so this guy gets up to 12 inches high, 36 inches wide, frost tolerant, good ground cover. And of course it's got these little white flowers. I'm not so much going for I'm mostly going for foliage in this bed. And then I got these hostas. I could not resist. They are so beautiful. This one is Great Expectations. it says deer and drought tolerant, but it's really not. It has pale lavender to white bell-shaped blooms, which is nice. So it'll get 24 to 36 inches, 24 by 36 inches. The flower stalk is 24 to 34 inches, slug resistant, which I don't buy because slugs absolutely love hostas, but that's okay. And again, I loved this chartreuse to go with that. And then this one is First Frost. It has lavender bell-shaped blooms, 12 to 16 inches by 12 to 36 inches. And then finally, this guy called Stained Glass. This one is 15 to 20 inches by 18 to 48 inches with a 30-inch bloom stalk. So not a ton of plants, but this is not a huge area, and I want them to have plenty of space. And hostas are pretty slow growing, so, you know, again, they're perennials. And what is that, what's that poem? The first year they leap, the second year, the first year they sleep, second year they creep, and then the third year they leap, right? So this year, they're not going to get huge. Next year, they'll put on a bit of growth, and then the following year, they'll just be nice and big. So that's the plan. So let me start hosing this down, seeing if we can get it wet enough that I can then poke holes through it to plant. My gosh, you guys, I'm so excited about this. This is totally addictive. I love planting things. I love starting new, like, you know, weeding is okay and like pruning and stuff, but boy, do I love starting something brand new. It's so exciting. I was able to get the cardboard wet enough that with my thin trowel, I could poke right through it, which is what I did for every one of these plants. So they'll be able to send their roots down into the native soil, but we also have a really nice thick layer of soil on top of the cardboard as well. And there is a sprinkler head right there. So they'll get water every night when the sprinklers go off anyway. And now I see all this extra space. I'm like, ooh, excited. I don't want to pack it too tight. I want them to have plenty of space to grow, but seeing open soil just gets me super excited. Okay, so I do have that tray of shade plants, mixed shade plants in the greenhouse. And when they get big enough, I will take little chunks and I'll probably put them on the back corners so that they can grow up. And it's wildflowers that are for the shade. There's also a moon garden mix in there too, which might also look really cool here because this is right by the pool area where we do spend time at night. And so that might be fun too. So over time, as I extend this bed down, it will start to follow the contours of the rock wall. So it will be curved in places, and I will repeat the same foundational plantings on down so that it looks cohesive, but it'll be fun to put other stuff in here. Like I said, it stays shady here all day, except for there's about maybe 2 hours where it gets some sun. And so I think these guys will do well. If they don't, then I can find something else to put here. But these are all shade-loving plants, so I think they'll be really happy. Yeah, so I've spaced them. You'll notice I only did 2 of the woodruff. I just it didn't feel right, the third one, a place to put it. So I will pepper other things in here that have less spread. Probably some stuff in the front is what I really need. Some low growing stuff in the front for shade. So that'll be fun, doing that research, finding what I want. I could actually easily propagate this geum here, but it is about 12 inches high, and I don't think I want anything that high in the front. I think I want it to be a little bit lower. So we'll see. But yeah, like these heuchera back here, I absolutely love them, but they don't show up a whole lot because it's dark over here already. Yeah, I'll play around with that and find some really fun stuff to put in the front, but I'm so happy with that, and I can't wait to see some of those hostas get big because I love hostas. But like I said, the deer love them too. I just think it's hysterical that it says on the tag that they are deer resistant, because in my experience, deer and slug are like their primary predators just immediately. Now, part of that is that in our area, deer, like once the rainy season's over, it's very hard for deer to find water. And these are very succulent leaves. They have a lot of water in them. And so I think that's one of the things that makes them enticing to the deer. And when deer are hungry enough and thirsty enough, they will eat just about anything. I've said this before. I've literally seen a deer walking up my street with a dead rat in its mouth. They will eat. They will be carnivores if they have to. So they're not just, foraging on little nibbly bits. They will decimate things if they need the food and the water. So I can't blame the deer. They're doing what deer do. So it'll be nice because this is a safe area. We are completely fenced in here. Deer cannot get back here, and never have in the 8 years that we've lived here. We've never had deer in the backyard. Bobcats, foxes, and raccoons, yes, and turkeys, but not deer. All right, that's gonna be it for me today, you guys. I feel like I got a lot done, which is really nice. I did come up with a plan for that spring container with all the pansies, the tiered one. And I think we'll do that tomorrow because it's just looking super rough, and I keep watering it, but it's not really helping it. I think they're done. So we'll pull those out and we'll get it set up for summer. But I'll have a bunch of appointments tomorrow, so there won't be any farm time, because it's like appointments at 11, appointment at 1, appointment at 4, like it's all, throughout the day. There's really no block of time to go out there. So we'll come up with some projects to do here, starting with that one. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.